All right, good morning. I'm Christian Menefee, a candidate for the 18th Congressional District, as well as the Harris County Attorney. I'm joined today by Ms. Rosie Powell and Minister Dorothy Peoples, both of whom are residents in the 18th Congressional District. We're here today in front of a Social Security Administration office as we see Donald Trump and Elon Musk cutting personnel, moving away from paper checks, adding additional verification for identities. We can expect that the lines at these types of buildings are going to be very long very soon. We're here today to demand that Governor Greg Abbott call a special election for the 18th Congressional District to take place in the month of June. Every single day that our governor delays, the more than 750,000 people who live in this district will go without a voice in Congress. It's been 24 days since this seat became vacant, since the passing of our fantastic Congressman Sylvester Turner, a dedicated public servant. And still today, the 18th Congressional District does not have representation in Congress. Governor Abbott missed the deadline to place the special election on the May 3rd uniform election. That term uniform election means that an election is going to take place on May the 3rd regardless of what happens in this district. All Governor Abbott had to do was ensure that this race would be on the ballot, and he did not do that. Governor Abbott knows that he can set the election for any time. In fact, the law says that he has a duty to do so as soon as practicable. He himself has acknowledged that both the United States Constitution and Texas law require that he call a special election as soon as the vacancy occurs. And we have a quote right here from the proclamations that the governor has issued when he's called other special elections, in which he has acknowledged that both the U.S. Constitution and Texas law require him to call a special election when a vacancy occurs. These are Greg Abbott's words, not mine. Governor Abbott has acted on this responsibility before. In the past, he's called special elections very quickly after a vacancy occurred. He's done so in one instance 4 days after the vacancy occurred, twice 16 days after the vacancy occurred, and once 18 days after the vacancy occurred. And we have this right here on a chart. Right now, today, we're at 24 days and counting since the 18th Congressional District has been without representation. And Governor Abbott has said absolutely nothing. I think we all know why, but we'll get to that a little bit later. If you take a look at this chart, it shows that in the 4 instances where Governor Abbott has called a special election, the average amount of days without representation that a district has gone has been around 80 some odd days, with the longest being when we lost Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, 108 days. If Governor Abbott waits until November, if he does not call this until the November uniform election, this district will be nearly 250 days without representation. And if Governor Abbott tries to play fresh and does not call this election for November, I will sue him. We're demanding that he call this election for the month of June, as he's done time and time again. Right now, Congress is voting on legislation and is watching the presidential administration take action that impacts our daily lives. Budget reconciliation, where Republicans are pushing tax cuts for the wealthy and service cuts for everybody else. All of us is happening while the president is gutting Social Security in our country. Defense spending, which will impact our military and our veterans. And disaster preparedness, with legislation calling for pulling FEMA out of DHS and calls for its elimination. We need representation fighting for our people in the 18th Congressional District as hurricane season approaches. The harm that is happening to our community is even worse right now. Donald Trump is letting Elon Musk gut the federal government. They're firing federal workers. They're cutting off critical funding for programs like housing, healthcare, and community programs. And our community is being hit from all sides. And we need someone in Congress to be able to stand up and fight back. It's no secret that Governor Abbott and I don't agree on many policies, and I've stood up and pushed back against him many, many times. But the one thing that we all should be able to agree on, regardless of what political party you're in, regardless of where in the state you live, it's that all Texans deserve representation in Congress. Governor Abbott, don't play games with our communities. The 18th Congressional District is not a political toy. Your silence is suppression. Your doing nothing is disenfranchising our communities. Governor Abbott knows the law, and he has acted quickly before. On March 31, 2022, Representative Vela vacated his seat in Texas's 34th Congressional District. 4 days later, Governor Abbott called an emergency special election to take place on June 14th of that same year. In doing so, Governor Abbott stated, and these are his exact words, "Hurricane relief efforts depend heavily on action at the federal level. And as this year's hurricane season approaches, people residing in potential disaster zones need to have full and effective representation in Congress as soon as possible." Here we are, 3 years later, with hurricane season approaching, and the people of the 18th Congressional District need full and effective representation, the exact same as the people of the 34th Congressional District needed in 2022. So what's different between now and then? I'll tell you what's different. Congress has a tight margin between Republicans and Democrats. It's 218 Republicans and 213 Democrats. And we know that President Trump is focused on making sure that that margin does not thin. Governor Abbott, don't put Donald Trump before the people of the 18th Congressional District. Do the right thing. Call this election for June and ensure that our people have representation. I want to take a moment to give a special thank you to the staff of the 18th Congressional District who have been without leadership here for 24 days and have still been working to make sure that our communities are taken care of and protected during this transition. This is a defining moment in our democracy. The people of Texas's 18th Congressional District need representation, and they need it now. Governor Abbott, call the election for June, let our people vote, and give them the representation that they deserve. With that, I'll now turn it over to Ms. Rosie Powell. I'll take that sign for you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Rosie Powell, and I live in Acres Homes right here in the heart of Texas, 18th Congressional District. Like many of my neighbors, I rely on Social Security to get by. So I'm standing here today with a heart heavy because our community is being ignored. Our seat in Congress is empty. And every day that goes by without a representative in another day, decisions are being made about our health care, our Social Security, and our lives with no one there to speak for us. We've seen Governor Abbott move quickly to call special elections in other districts. He acts fast, like the people in those communities matter. So I have to ask, does Governor Abbott not care about us too? The Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act were passed to make sure communities like ours had the right to vote and the right to be represented. But right now, it feels like the governor is taking us back to the dark days of this country when our voices didn't matter. I thank Christian Menefee for standing up and demanding better, for making sure we are not forgotten. Governor Abbott, we are not invisible. We are voters, we are seniors, we are families, and we need our voice back in Washington. Call this election now. We cannot afford to wait. Thank you.
Minister Peoples?
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Minister Dorothy Peoples, and I have lived in Texas 18th Congressional District. This is my home, my church, my family, my community. And today I'm speaking from the heart because we need help. Right now, our district has no voice in Congress. No one speaking for us. While decisions are being made about the future, our disaster relief, about how our money is spent, about the support we need as hurricane approaches, we're left behind. Governor Abbott, we can't wait any longer. Our seniors can't wait. Our children can't wait. We are not a political game. We're real people. People who have worked hard, raised families here, and deserve to be heard. I want to thank Christian Menefee for standing up and demanding that our voices be counted. Governor, do what is right. Call a special election for June. Let the people of this District 18 be heard. Thank you.
I think the message is loud and clear. Governor Abbott, do your job, call the special election. And with that, we'll open it up for questions. The law says that the governor is supposed to call the special election as soon as practicable, which means he needs to do it immediately. The governor knows this, and in fact, in the 4 instances where a seat has become vacant since he's become governor, as this chart shows, he's gotten to it straight away. Sometimes in 16 days, sometimes in 18 days, and once in 4 days. He knows how important it is that people have representation in Congress. The United States Constitution guarantees that every single person in this country, if they live in a state, that state's going to have 2 senators, and they're going to have proportionate representation in the House of Representatives. This is a right that is guaranteed to us as human beings in the United States of America. Governor Abbott has a job to do, and he needs to do it. If he waits till November, he's waited far too long. If he waits longer than that, he's breaking the law, and I'll sue him. The 18th Congressional District suffers from flooding just as bad and in some instances worse than other districts. We see people languish in their homes without access to resources. There have been many times where previous representatives in this seat have called me, and my job as county attorney, and said, hey, I need you to speak to the regional administrator for FEMA so that we can get resources directly into these communities. We've seen first responders go out and rescue people in our communities to make sure that they're okay. Governor Abbott knows how dangerous it can be when a hurricane or flooding hits our communities, because that's exactly what he relied on when he called the special election when Representative Vela vacated his seat. I'm terrified that we're going to come into this hurricane season, we're going to get hit by a major natural disaster, and we're not going to have a representative in Congress who's there to ensure that these resources are flowing directly to our communities. Governor Abbott, this is completely inhumane. He knows this, and this is not a Republican issue or a Democratic issue. This is a people issue, and he needs to do the right thing and call the election. I remain the county attorney, and I'm committed to representing the county and to the good people who live in this county every single day. And there's plenty of work that we do at the county to ensure that we have preparedness for disasters and that folks are taken care of when that happens. So I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that people across the county, regardless of their congressional district, have representation and have access to resources. But let's be clear, every single district should have the same level of representation. Every single district deserves to have a member of Congress who's advocating for them. And right now, the 18th Congressional District does not have that because the governor is trying to kiss up to Speaker Mike Johnson and President Donald Trump instead of caring about the real people on the ground. All right. Thank y'all very much.